A young man's death is marked by a quiet funeral. His life seems to end with regret, but in another moment he appears alive in a city. His expectations collapse as he enters a harsh company. The environment is intense, and a strange culture surrounds him, forcing him into strict routines. The workers follow rigid rules and repeat actions in unison. The man is drawn into the system, pressured to adapt and abandon his individuality. Daily life becomes overwhelming. Constant shouting and forced discipline break his spirit as he struggles to keep up. Under extreme pressure, he loses control, reaching a breaking point within the oppressive workplace. Pressure rises as the manager forces him to meet impossible quotas. His body strains under fear and exhaustion, barely managing to comply. Each day repeats the same pattern of shouting and punishment. Even during holidays and overtime, the work never stops, draining his strength. While distracted and sleep-deprived, he is struck by a car, ending his life suddenly. Regret fills his thoughts as he reflects on a life without joy. The endless cycle of work left no space for anything meaningful. Instead of disappearing, he awakens in a strange place. Light surrounds him, and confusion grows as he realizes he still exists. In a bright, unfamiliar space, the man encounters a goddess with wings and a calm presence. She explains his death was not meant to happen. A flaw in fate caused repeated suffering, and his life ended without proper reward. As compensation, he is offered a second life in another world. The goddess grants him the right to choose one wish before he leaves, while she continues explaining the details. His attention drifts. Her words fade as he focuses on her appearance. A quiet realization forms within him. Instead of thinking about his wish, he becomes captivated by the goddess standing before him. The man studies the goddess closely. Her appearance, voice, and presence leave a strong impression, making her seem unreal compared to anything he knew. His feelings grow quickly. Attraction takes over his thoughts, and he realizes she matches everything he desires. Without hesitation, he decides on his wish. Instead of power or skills, he chooses something unexpected, driven by his emotions. The goddess listens as he presents his choice. Despite the many powerful options available, he focuses only on her. Calm acceptance follows. She agrees to his request, and the moment marks the beginning of an unusual bond between them. With sudden resolve, the man declares his wish. He chooses to marry the goddess and asks her to come with him to the next world. The goddess processes his request calmly. She recognizes it as his chosen wish and accepts its meaning without rejection. Surprise overwhelms her composure. The unexpected proposal leaves her flustered, struggling to react to his bold decision. Katu tries to clarify himself, revealing his serious nature and lack of past relationships. His sincerity shapes the weight of his request. After considering his life and intentions, she quietly acknowledges him, signaling that his unusual wish will be granted. The man reflects quietly, realizing his past life may still hold value. His actions seem to leave a strong impression on the goddess. She questions his decision, giving him another chance to reconsider. The offer remains open, allowing him to choose anything else. His answer comes with firm conviction. He shows no hesitation, expressing that nothing matters more to him than her. Her hesitation fades as she responds to his sincerity. The decision becomes mutual, and the bond between them begins to take form. With calm acceptance, the goddess affirms her choice. The promise is sealed, marking the start of their shared future. Relief spreads across the man's face as the goddess accepts. Overcome with emotion, he lowers himself, showing gratitude for her decision. Their moment is interrupted by another presence. A different goddess suddenly appears, taking control of the situation and drawing attention. She rises with a calm but tired expression. Her attitude contrasts sharply, suggesting familiarity with such events and a more casual approach. The man confidently acknowledges his new relationship. Meanwhile, the first goddess reacts with visible surprise at his bold declaration. Tension softens into a quieter exchange. The new goddess comments on the situation, while the first goddess gently responds, easing the mood. Second goddess relaxes and shows little concern. Her attitude remains casual as she observes the situation without interference. A magical circle forms beneath them. Energy gathers, signaling the transition to another world as the process begins. She sends them off with a light gesture. The pair stands together, preparing to leave while receiving a brief farewell. Before departing, the goddess reminds him of his responsibility. He hesitates slightly, aware of the weight behind his decision. Determination fills him as he accepts his new life, ready to move forward with her. The goddess expresses her intent to properly support him as his partner. Their relationship begins to take a more equal and mutual form. He responds with a respectful introduction, offering his name while extending his hand. She accepts it with a gentle reaction, acknowledging their bond. A bright light surrounds them once more. The transfer begins, carrying both of them away from that space. They arrive in a new world. The surroundings shift into natural scenery, far from the place they left behind. Standing together, they observe their new environment. A quiet forest stretches around them, marking the true start of their shared life. The man realizes he has nothing in this new world. The goddess feels responsible and apologizes for not preparing better conditions for him. Katu quickly reassures her. What matters to him is her presence, and he values their relationship more than material comfort. Her mood shifts instantly. Happiness replaces her worry, and she reacts with visible joy at his sincerity. They begin thinking practically. Survival becomes their next goal as they consider food, shelter, and a place to live. The goddess finds new purpose. She decides to use her powers to support him, while he accepts her help with quiet relief. He begins to doubt her abilities. He realizes she lacks experience, and her actions seem uncertain for someone meant to guide him. Trying to help, she attempts to use her power. Energy gathers around her as she prepares to act, determined to prove herself. Result turns chaotic. Her sudden teleportation surprises both of them, showing her lack of control over her own abilities. Confusion follows immediately. She struggles to understand what she has done, and looks for a way to fix the situation, with visible frustration. She relies on a guidebook. Her powers appear limited now, revealing that she cannot fully use them in this world. The goddess feels discouraged by her limitations. She worries that her lack of power makes her a burden, while the man reassures her calmly. He decides to take action instead. Leaving her to rest, he begins handling their situation on his own despite the risks. Confidence drives him forward. He faces the challenge directly, showing determination to secure what they need to survive. Memories of his past surface. His experience in harsh conditions shapes his mindset, pushing him toward bold decisions. Drawing from that past, he acts without hesitation. His actions become decisive, signaling a shift from passive survival to taking control. From a high point, the man observes the vast landscape. A distant village comes into view, giving him a direction and a possible goal. While moving through the forest, he suddenly falls. Pain slows him down, and the goddess quickly rushes to check on him. She considers using her power again. Despite earlier doubts, she prepares to help him in a different way. Carefully, she explains her ability. Unlike before, this power remains available, allowing her to assist him directly. A soft light surrounds them as she heals him. The injury fades, showing that even with limits, she can still support him. The healing completes, though not perfectly. The man tests his leg and realizes the pain is mostly gone, leaving him relieved. Gratitude fills him, and he openly praises her effort. His words lift her spirits, replacing her earlier doubt with happiness. Moment softens as she becomes shy from the attention. Meanwhile, he begins thinking ahead about possible dangers in the forest. He prepares himself to protect her. Taking the lead, he makes it clear he will handle threats if they appear. His resolve reaches her deeply. She reacts with quiet emotion, touched by his determination to care for and protect her. The man discovers a small house hidden in the forest. He brings the goddess there, giving them a place to stay. Inside, the building shows signs of long abandonment. Dust covers everything, but it offers shelter for the night. Katu decides to use it despite the condition. His past experience helps him adapt quickly to the situation. They settle into the house together. Their new life begins in this quiet place, marking the start of their journey in another world. An old wooden house became Katu and the goddess's temporary shelter. While he inspected the interior, she quietly observed from nearby, appearing reassured by their discovery. Though the place showed signs of abandonment, it still offered enough safety for the night. Inside the house, a few usable clothes were found for both of them. That small relief quickly faded once Katu realized there was no food left at all. The empty storage made it clear the house had not been used for a long time, leaving them without anything to eat. Basic needs were then sorted out as best as possible. Clothing and shelter were no longer immediate concerns, and a nearby well provided a steady source of water. Despite that progress, the lack of food remained unresolved, pushing Katu to think about their next step. Moving into the forest, Katu began marking trees to ensure they could return safely. His actions were steady and deliberate, showing clear experience. The goddess followed closely, watching his behavior with growing curiosity as he navigated the unfamiliar environment. Deeper in the forest, his past training became evident through his actions. Years of harsh preparation had shaped his survival instincts, allowing him to handle the situation without hesitation. Katu moved deeper into the forest while marking trees to keep track of their path. Each mark showed his steady pace and careful planning, The wide field around them suggested unfamiliar territory, yet he advanced without hesitation, relying on his judgment. As they walked, the goddess considered the abundance of nature around them, and expected food to be nearby. Katu searched carefully, though a sense of unease lingered in his thoughts. His past experiences, shaped by strict training, made him cautious even in a place that seemed rich with resources. Their search soon paid off when they discovered fruit growing on nearby trees. Katu noticed them first, and confirmed they were edible. The goddess showed quiet confidence, recognizing them from knowledge she had gained before arriving in this world, which reassured him further. A memory surfaced of the goddess offering help to someone in need, even when it was not required of her. Her actions reflected a natural kindness that extended beyond her role. Back in the present, Katu acknowledged her kindness through his actions and expression. The goddess reacted with visible embarrassment, unaccustomed to such recognition. Despite that reaction, the moment strengthened their connection as they continued forward together. Katu gently placed his hand on the goddess's head, showing quiet appreciation for her kindness. His thoughts reflected how rare it was to meet someone like her, especially in such an unfamiliar world. From his perspective, her actions held more meaning than simple duty. While keeping his hand there, he calmly reflected on their relationship and felt a sense of relief. Being married to her no longer felt uncertain, and he accepted their situation with growing confidence. The gesture remained steady, expressing comfort rather than hesitation. The goddess reacted with a deep blush as his hand continued to move gently over her head. She was not used to such closeness, and the unfamiliar feeling overwhelmed her. Her expression showed both surprise and confusion as she tried to process the moment. Embarrassment quickly took over, causing her to lose composure. She struggled to react properly, clearly flustered by the sudden affection. The situation caught her off guard, leaving her unsure of how to respond. Soon after, the moment was interrupted as Katu sensed something unusual nearby. His attention shifted instantly, warning her while focusing on the surroundings. The calm atmosphere disappeared, replaced by alertness as he prepared for potential danger. A sudden movement broke the silence as Katu reacted instantly. His body shifted forward, striking without hesitation. Leaves scattered around him, showing the force behind his action as he faced an unseen threat. The source revealed itself as a large, aggressive boar-like monster, charging through the forest. Its size and speed made it dangerous, shaking the ground as it advanced. The creature's presence confirmed that this world held threats far beyond ordinary animals. Katu remained steady, stepping forward with focus while positioning himself between the beast and the goddess. His expression showed no panic, only calm judgment. Behind him, she appeared startled but trusted his lead as he prepared to handle the situation. Instead of fear, she began to see the creature differently, recognizing it as potential food. Her reaction contrasted with the danger, showing curiosity rather than concern. Katu accepted this shift quickly and decided to hunt it, turning the encounter into an opportunity. Recalling knowledge from his past, Katu considered how to properly use the entire animal if they succeeded. His thoughts were practical, focused on survival and nutrition. With that in mind, he moved forward with determination, ready to face the creature directly. The boar-like creature scratched the ground and prepared to charge. Katu observed it carefully and judged that it was smaller than him, giving him confidence. Standing in front, he told Iris to stay back while focusing entirely on the approaching threat. Both of them faced the creature as it moved through the forest. Iris showed visible concern, unsure of the danger ahead, while Katu remained composed. His calm reaction contrasted with her worry, showing that fear did not control his actions. A memory surfaced in Katu's mind, recalling his past life. He remembered working long days as a salesman, going door to door under constant pressure. That experience had built endurance and persistence, shaping how he faced difficult situations. He had unknowingly approached a dangerous group, only to be confronted and intimidated. The situation forced him to stay alert and think quickly, leaving a lasting impression on him. That past experience strengthened his resolve in the present. Compared to what he had endured before, the current danger felt manageable. With steady focus, he stood ready to confront the creature, relying on the resilience he had developed through hardship. A harsh memory returned to Katu, reminding him of a moment when he faced threats far more terrifying than the present. The words and pressure from that time left a deep mark on him, shaping how he understood danger. The memory continued with tension building as he held on to something tightly, his thoughts racing. Fear surrounded him back then, and every decision carried serious consequences. That experience forced him to endure under extreme stress. Even in that situation, he pushed forward without backing down. Despite the intimidation and pressure, he continued his work, forcing himself to act. That determination became a core part of his mindset. Returning to the present, Katu compared the current threat to his past. The difference was clear to him, and the fear he once felt no longer held the same weight. His expression reflected confidence as he faced the situation. Monster charged again, but Katu moved with precision and control. He called it his next meal, showing no hesitation as he stepped forward. Behind him, Iris reacted with concern, while he remained focused on ending the fight quickly. The monster's attack landed suddenly, sending Katu flying backward through the air. His body hit the ground hard, leaving him momentarily stunned. Nearby, Iris reacted with shock, unable to process how quickly the situation had changed. Creature continued its assault without pause, showing its overwhelming strength. Katu struggled to regain control as the impact took its toll on him. Iris rushed forward in panic, worried about his condition as the danger remained close. Despite the pain, Katu forced himself to stand and reassure her. He insisted that his condition was manageable, even as his body showed clear signs of damage. His focus remained on keeping her calm while preparing to continue. He stepped forward again, determined not to give up. The thought of survival pushed him onward, knowing that failure would leave them with no chance. Iris watched anxiously, her concern growing as he faced the threat once more. With a loud shout, Katu gathered his resolve and pushed himself beyond his limits. His belief in persistence drove him to act, despite the pain in his body. Even as the strain worsened his injuries, he stood firm, ready to keep fighting. Determination filled Katu as he rushed forward, recalling the mindset that had carried him through difficult times. His belief in pushing through hardship guided his movement, even as the danger remained in front of him. Positioning himself near a large tree, he provoked the creature and drew its attention. Rather than confronting it directly, he used movement and timing to control the situation. His actions showed a shift from pure force to strategy. At the right moment, Katu dodged and redirected the attack, causing the monster to crash into the tree. The impact weakened it instantly. Maintaining focus, he approached carefully, keeping his composure under pressure. With the creature down, he confirmed the result and prepared to make use of it. His actions turned from combat to survival, showing efficiency and purpose. The threat had been resolved through patience and control. After the fight ended, exhaustion quickly replaced adrenaline. Katu collapsed onto the ground, breathing heavily as the strain caught up to him. Despite the pain, he had secured their first successful hunt in this world. Soft light gathered around his wound as healing power began to take effect. Iris rushed toward him without hesitation, driven by urgency and concern. Her actions were quick and direct, focused only on easing his condition. Relief followed as pain slowly faded from his body. He tried to reassure her despite the damage he had taken, while she remained visibly shaken. Strong emotion showed on her face, unable to hide how deeply she cared about his well-being. Lying on the ground, he fell silent and stared upward. That moment brought an unfamiliar feeling, something he had not experienced before. Quiet realization settled in as he processed what had just happened. Memories surfaced from a distant past, filled with pressure and strict expectations. Harsh words from family and work environments had shaped his outlook, leaving little space for comfort or understanding. Those experiences contrasted sharply with what he was feeling now. A new awareness formed as he looked toward Iris. Someone truly cared about his condition without expecting anything in return. That realization remained steady, leaving a lasting impression that felt both unfamiliar and meaningful. Worry filled Iris as she hovered over him, checking his condition again and again. Lying on the ground, he reacted lightly, easing the tension with a relaxed attitude. That realization deepened his feelings as he reached toward her and held her close. Genuine care from her changed how he saw their relationship. In that moment, affection became clear, and he accepted their bond as something meaningful rather than uncertain. A peaceful heavenly space shows a goddess calmly eating while ignoring her surroundings. Strange creatures and floating objects highlight the unusual setting. Nearby, Katu becomes overwhelmed and breaks down in tears as he suddenly proposes marriage. Meanwhile, the goddess continues her meal without concern, watching Katu with a relaxed attitude. She questions his lack of effort, while he remains inactive beside her. Their marriage is already established, yet their daily life feels uneven, with Katu still uncertain about his place. Soon after, the goddess shifts her focus and prepares to respond to a request from a respected leader. Her posture becomes more composed, reflecting a sense of duty. Although she often appears carefree, she clearly understands her responsibilities. Inside, a modest house in another world, Iris uses magic while handling daily tasks. Her actions are efficient and controlled, helping maintain their living space. The calm environment shows her adjustment to a more practical lifestyle. At the same time, Katu works to secure their home by setting up protection against monsters during the night. He stands alert with a weapon, showing growing determination. Together, Iris and Katu begin building a stable life in their new world. Katu examines a beginner magic book he found on a shelf. The discovery surprises him, as he realizes he can understand its contents, despite being in another world. Iris explains that in heaven, certain abilities allow them to comprehend magic naturally. Later, a freshly prepared dish is placed on the table, releasing a rich aroma. Iris calmly presents the meal, explaining its simple preparation using salt and fruit juice. Katu reacts with surprise at the appearance and smell, showing both curiosity and excitement as he prepares to eat. Before eating, Katu gathers himself and expresses gratitude, showing respect for the meal. His posture becomes focused, and his anticipation grows as he prepares to taste the unfamiliar dish for the first time. As the meal begins, both Iris and Katu eat together in a calm setting. Iris maintains her composed demeanor while enjoying the food, while Katu eats eagerly. Their shared moment reflects a growing sense of comfort in their daily life. With each bite, Katu experiences the unique texture and flavor of the meat. The combination of sourness, saltiness, and richness leaves a strong impression on him. His reaction shows clear satisfaction, marking this meal as a meaningful experience in their new life together. A quiet moment follows the meal as admiration begins to show. Cooking skills leave a strong impression, especially since such abilities were not expected from someone like Iris. While she modestly downplays her effort, the reaction across the table becomes more intense, revealing growing affection and surprise. Soft gestures and a shy posture create a different atmosphere. Hands come together as she reflects on herself, unaware of how her actions appear. A gentle expression and slight nervousness highlight a more delicate side, adding to the charm she naturally carries. Strong feelings quickly build, making it difficult to stay composed. A flushed face and stunned reaction show how deeply the moment affects him. Thoughts become overwhelmed, especially as this experience feels new and meaningful. Each small detail only strengthens that impression. Excitement turns into open praise during the meal. Joy becomes clear through eager eating and energetic behavior. Meanwhile, a more reserved reaction appears on the other side, showing embarrassment mixed with happiness. Night quietly arrives, bringing a calmer pace. Water fills a container as part of evening routines, while the surrounding landscape rests under moonlight. A peaceful scene settles in, marking the end of another day in their new life together. Night settles in as a quiet atmosphere fills the small house. After finishing dinner, Katu sits alone, reflecting on the day. A dim candle flickers nearby, marking the late hour and signaling the end of activity for the evening. From another room, the sound of water can be heard as Iris washes herself. Meanwhile, he leans back and considers resting, thinking there is nothing left to do. The calm setting makes everything feel slower, yet a slight tension begins to build. Attention shifts toward the bedroom, where a simple bed rests against the wall. A glance through the window and the quiet surroundings highlight how isolated the place is. Movement from behind a wall suggests Iris is about to return, adding to the growing awareness of the situation. A realization suddenly becomes clear. The house is small, and there is only a single bed available. This detail stands out sharply, breaking the calm mood and forcing him to think about what comes next. Focus remains on the bed, emphasizing the situation. With no alternative sleeping space, the quiet night now carries a different kind of tension. What seemed like an ordinary evening turns into an unexpected moment in their shared life. A sudden realization hits as the situation becomes clear. Sharing the same bed now feels unavoidable, and the thought immediately overwhelms him. His expression stiffens, caught between anticipation and confusion about what this moment truly means. Panic quickly takes over, and he clutches his head while struggling to process everything. Lack of experience becomes obvious, leaving him unsure how to act. The pressure of the situation builds rapidly, making it difficult to stay calm. Memories of his past surface, filled with long periods of isolation and work. A life without close relationships leaves him unprepared for what is happening now. Doubt grows stronger as he realizes he has no experience to rely on. Frustration mixes with confusion as he questions his own actions. A brief moment of confidence from earlier now feels misplaced. Thoughts spiral as he tries to understand why he acted so boldly before, despite his lack of experience. From behind, the sound of Iris finishing her bath reaches him, pulling him back to reality. Uncertainty returns as he wonders how to take the lead in this situation. With no clear answer, tension rises as the moment he anticipated finally arrives. Fresh from washing, Iris steps out with damp hair and a relaxed posture. Light reflects off her skin, making her appearance stand out even more. A quiet glance from nearby reveals clear surprise as her presence feels overwhelming in such a small space. Confusion lingers as she tilts her head slightly, responding with a calm and natural expression. Her identity as a goddess is stated without pride or hesitation, as if it is something ordinary. That simple response only deepens the sense of disbelief around her. An awkward pause follows as she approaches and asks for a place to sit. Space feels limited, forcing both of them closer than expected. Movements become careful, with hesitation visible in every action. Both settle onto the same bench, sitting stiffly side by side. Distance between them is small, making every detail more noticeable. Attention drifts toward her flawless appearance, while tension builds from being so close. Thoughts struggle to remain steady as admiration grows stronger. Restraint begins to fade as emotions become harder to control. A moment of honesty surfaces internally, revealing how strongly her presence affects him. What started as quiet tension shifts into something more intense, marking a turning point in the night. Tension peaks as both sit close together, unsure how to act. A small movement draws attention, and nervous reactions follow immediately. Her calm but curious expression contrasts with his stiff posture. A softer moment follows as she looks down, lightly fidgeting with her hair. Uncertainty becomes clear in her behavior, showing she also does not fully understand what comes next. The atmosphere shifts into something more awkward than intense, with both sides hesitating. Suddenly, the weight of the situation hits him all at once. Thoughts spiral as he tries to process what should happen after this moment. Confusion replaces any earlier confidence, leaving him overwhelmed. A quiet tension fills the room as Katu faces the goddess. She leans forward with visible nervousness, unsure of how to act. Surprise overtakes Katu, leaving him frozen as he struggles to understand the situation. The moment lingers with both of them uncertain about what comes next after their sudden marriage. Trying to regain composure, Katu organizes his thoughts and acknowledges the meaning behind the situation. Determination appears on his face, yet uneasiness remains. Even with awareness, handling the reality proves more difficult than expected. Pressure builds as his inexperience becomes clear. Confidence fails him, especially during such an important moment. Sitting beside each other, both remain stiff and silent, separated by hesitation. The atmosphere grows heavier as neither takes a step forward. A shift in time places Katu in a formal setting now dressed for responsibility. Overwhelmed, he admits his lack of confidence while facing expectations from someone guiding him forward. The towering surroundings emphasize how unprepared he feels in this unfamiliar role. Suddenly, a sharp strike lands across Katu's face. The force interrupts his hesitation instantly. That impact leaves no room for doubt, pushing him to confront the situation without retreat. Katu is overwhelmed as harsh words are thrown at him. The man in front of him criticizes his lack of confidence and dismisses his hesitation. Threats follow, creating pressure that Katu cannot escape. Fear and confusion mix as he tries to endure the situation. Amid the intensity, a single idea is presented to him. Katu listens as the concept of courage is emphasized as something simple yet powerful. The message reaches him clearly, giving him something to hold onto despite his uncertainty. Standing tall, the man continues to reinforce that courage does not require knowledge or experience. The words echo strongly in Katu's mind. That realization begins to shift his perspective, making the challenge feel slightly more manageable. Tension rises again as a final warning is delivered. Katu finds himself on the ground, shaken but still listening. The pressure forces him to decide whether to remain frozen or take action. A sudden clarity fills Katu as he accepts the idea of courage. Determination replaces hesitation, and he resolves to act despite not fully understanding everything. With that mindset, he prepares himself to take the first step forward. Katu reaches out and gently holds the goddess by the shoulder. Her face turns red, and her body stiffens from nervousness. She looks overwhelmed, unsure how to respond to his sudden action. Katu watches her closely, trying to understand her reaction. His hand tightens slightly, but hesitation quickly follows. Realizing her uneasiness, Katu pauses. Both of them sit facing each other, the distance between them filled with awkward tension. The moment slows as he considers what to do next. Uncertainty takes over again. Katu reflects on how little they know about each other, recognizing that fear is still present. The goddess reacts nervously, unable to hide her discomfort. He begins to understand that rushing forward will only make things worse. A calmer approach replaces his earlier resolve. Katu decides to take a step back, suggesting they move forward slowly instead. The goddess responds with relief, though her embarrassment remains. The tension begins to ease as both accept the situation. Quieter atmosphere settles between them. Katu notices her lingering sadness and realizes she may feel inadequate. Wanting to reassure her, he chooses a gentler path. Rather than forcing progress, He accepts a simple closeness, allowing their relationship to grow naturally over time. The two lie side by side on the bed, trying to stay calm in the quiet space. Katu reassures himself while remaining aware of her presence. She stays close, still slightly tense, as they adjust to sharing the same space for the first time. Sudden movement breaks the stillness. Their bodies shift closer, and K2 ends up against her unexpectedly. Her eyes widen in surprise, and her body reacts instinctively to the sudden closeness. Instead of pulling away, K2 remains where he is. The warmth between them becomes more noticeable, easing the tension slightly. The goddess begins to relax, her heartbeat steadying as she grows used to his presence. A gentle calm settles over them as they lie together. Katu notices her warmth and begins to feel more at ease. She responds by softly holding him, allowing the distance between them to disappear. Comfort replaces hesitation as both begin to accept the closeness. The goddess looks at him with softened eyes, no longer as tense as before. Their shared warmth becomes a quiet reassurance, marking a small step forward in their relationship. Soft silence fills the room as both lie close together. Arms remain wrapped gently, creating a sense of comfort that was missing before. Warmth replaces earlier tension, allowing both to rest peacefully without hesitation. Morning light arrives, bringing a calm start to the day. She appears outside, already prepared and full of energy. A gentle smile reflects her good mood, showing that the night helped ease her worries. Happiness becomes more visible as she expresses gratitude. Her expression softens, revealing genuine relief and contentment. That small moment highlights how much the simple closeness meant to her. Inside the room, a quiet realization begins to form. Observing her actions leads to the impression of maturity and reliability. Early rising and housework suggest a composed and responsible nature. Doubt quickly follows that assumption. A closer look reveals imperfections behind that image. Confusion sets in as expectations shift, leading to a more honest understanding of her true self. Frustration bursts out as she admits she could not sleep at all. Her face turns red with embarrassment, unable to hide her emotions. Background details reveal her origin, showing that goddesses like her are born from a sacred source, making her situation even more unfamiliar. Memories of her past begin to surface. Life among other goddesses appears structured and distant, with training that keeps them separate from ordinary experiences. Growing up in that environment leaves her with little understanding of intimacy. Embarrassment deepens as she reflects on what happened the night before. Confusion mixes with disappointment as expectations clash with reality. Her lack of experience makes it difficult to process her feelings properly. Awkward honesty emerges as she reveals her thoughts. A desire for things to continue contrasts with uncertainty. On the other side, calm acceptance appears, showing a more grounded response to the situation. Confusion turns into disbelief as she questions what happened. Expectation of a natural progression conflicts with the reality of him falling asleep. That moment leaves her flustered, struggling to understand what should have come next. A confident mood appears as she convinces herself that everything is fine. That calm quickly breaks when the door opens, revealing an unexpected sight. Surprise takes over as she reacts loudly, caught off guard by his sudden presence. Embarrassment spreads as he realizes the situation. An apology follows immediately while he tries to explain himself. Awkwardness fills the space as both struggle to recover from the moment. Curiosity replaces shock as her attention shifts. Hands press against her face while she stares, unable to look away. Interest grows, mixed with confusion, as she tries to understand what she is seeing. Overthinking takes control as her imagination runs too far. Panic rises quickly, fueled by a lack of knowledge. Her reaction becomes intense, showing how unfamiliar everything still feels to her. Quieter moment follows in a different setting. Effort is made to focus on something practical, like preparing firewood. Magic is used to handle the task, bringing a small sense of order after the earlier chaos. Attention shifts to the use of magic as firewood burns effortlessly. Surprise appears at how simple the process feels compared to normal methods. Soon after, a mistake becomes clear when the source of the wood is revealed, causing immediate regret. A meal is prepared despite the earlier trouble. Effort shows in the simple dish, combining what is available. Satisfaction follows as the food is enjoyed, creating a small moment of success. Joy grows during the meal as closeness increases. Physical distance fades, and warmth returns naturally. That shared moment strengthens the bond, even if neither fully understands it. Excitement takes over as new thoughts form. Curiosity mixes with emotion, leading to unexpected conclusions. Meanwhile, a casual interruption brings attention back to reality. Focus turns toward something new. Interest rises in the possibility of using magic personally. Determination builds as a new challenge appears. marking the beginning of another step forward. Near their home, Iris brings up the idea of magic training to Katu. A sense of hesitation shows on her face as she explains what it involves. Meanwhile, Katu pays close attention, showing both curiosity and concern. With some uncertainty, Katu asks if learning magic carries danger. In response, Iris clarifies that it will not threaten his life, though pain is unavoidable. Her explanation emphasizes endurance rather than risk. Gradually, Katu realizes that the process will test his limits. The explanation continues as Iris describes magic circuits within the body. She reflects on her own experience at a training school, remembering how painful it was. Hearing this, Katu compares it to receiving a strong physical blow. After thinking it through, Katu decides to proceed. He prepares himself and removes part of his clothing as instructed. Carefully, Iris moves closer and reaches toward him to begin. Determination shows in Katu's posture as he accepts the challenge. Moment the magic is activated, a sharp reaction comes from Katu. His body responds to the unfamiliar sensation, showing how intense it is. At the same time, Iris observes closely, surprised by the outcome. Their efforts continue despite the difficulty, marking the beginning of his training. A strange sensation spreads as Iris focuses her power. Thin glass-like patterns appear around her, showing the activation of magic in front of her. Katu begins to feel energy moving through his entire body. Surprise fills his expression as the flow becomes stronger than expected. Without warning, the energy surges. A powerful force bursts outward from Katu, forming a visible magic circle behind him. The sudden release pushes his body back, overwhelming his control. Iris reacts instantly, startled by how intense the reaction has become. Impact throws Katu off balance, and he collapses to the ground. His body trembles as the sensation continues to spread. Iris rushes toward him, clearly worried by his condition. Pain overtakes him, making it difficult to stay composed. The intensity grows instead of fading. Katu struggles as the energy continues to move inside him. His reactions become louder and more desperate, showing how unbearable the process feels. Iris watches closely, realizing the strain is far greater than she expected. Dark energy begins to rise around Katu, forming unstable waves. Iris immediately senses something is wrong and steps back in alarm. The situation shifts from simple training to something dangerous. Shock fills Iris as she realizes the scale of Katu's magic. She quickly explains that the pain comes from his unusually large latent power. Nearby, Katu struggles on the ground, overwhelmed yet beginning to understand that his strength is far beyond normal. Exhaustion sets in as Katu drags himself toward the house. His body feels heavy after enduring the intense process. Inside, Iris estimates how long the pain usually lasts, showing concern as she watches him recover. Leaning against the edge of the house, Katu tries to steady himself. Sweat runs down as he breathes heavily, still feeling the lingering effects. The outside air offers little relief, but he remains standing, showing his determination to endure. Relief slowly replaces panic as the worst passes. Katu admits through his expression that he thought he might not survive. Behind him, Iris apologizes repeatedly, clearly blaming herself for pushing him too far. Despite her guilt, Katu gestures that she does not need to apologize. Later, Katu reflects on the experience while lying down. The pain lasted far longer than expected, proving how intense his magic is. Even so, a new realization forms. He has successfully taken his first step into using magic. Curiosity replaces fear as Iris explains Katu's magic attribute. She determines that his power is suited for fire, meaning he can use it immediately with practice. Katu listens closely, beginning to feel a sense of excitement. The idea of using magic himself starts to feel real. Memories surface in Katu's mind as he recalls people from his past. Suspicion and caution shape his thoughts, suggesting he has learned to judge others carefully. That experience influences how he approaches this new world and its unfamiliar power. Outside the house, Katu prepares for his first attempt. A large rock is chosen as the target. With focus, he raises his hand and gathers himself. Iris stands behind him, watching attentively as he begins. A strange clarity follows as Katu concentrates. He notices he can understand unfamiliar text, which helps guide him. The instruction to focus magic into his hand becomes clear. Determination grows as he prepares to release the energy. Energy bursts forward with unexpected force. Multiple projectiles shoot out at once, far exceeding what he intended. Katu is caught off guard by the overwhelming output. Behind him, Iris reacts with amazement, realizing his natural magic far surpasses normal limits. Excitement builds inside Katu as he realizes his talent. For the first time, he feels recognized, and that thought fills him with motivation. Nearby, Iris continues to support him, confident in his potential. Confidence pushes Katu to act quickly. He raises his hand and prepares another spell, focusing on the target ahead. The idea of becoming a powerful mage takes shape in his mind. With growing determination, he gathers his energy and releases it without hesitation. The spell erupts with far more force than expected. A massive surge of fire shoots forward, overwhelming the surroundings. The ground shakes under the impact, showing that his control is still lacking. Even so, the sheer power proves that his potential is real. An enormous explosion follows, filling the area with destructive energy. The result is both impressive and dangerous. Iris watches in shock, realizing how unstable his magic still is. Tears streamed down Iris's face as she covered her mouth, her whole body shaking, overwhelmed by guilt. She kept apologizing repeatedly. The depth of her regret was clear, as her emotions burst out uncontrollably. Before this moment, an accident had occurred while opening the magic circuits, leading to an unexpected explosion. Sitting beside her, Katu carefully treated her injuries. Even with his calm presence, Iris continued to believe she was responsible for everything. With her head lowered, Iris asked for forgiveness once more, her expression filled with sorrow. Thoughts of Katu's pain weighed heavily on her mind, making her wish she could undo what had happened. In response, Katu denied her self-blame and reminded her that she always puts others before herself. Calmly, Katu continued reassuring her, insisting that her kindness was not something to regret. Unable to accept it right away, Iris turned away while holding back more tears. Seeing her reaction, Katu stepped closer, searching for a way to comfort her. Later on, the atmosphere shifted back to normal. Inside a classroom, Iris appeared more composed as others noticed her. At the same time, the ringing of a phone echoed nearby, hinting that a new moment was about to begin. Iris bent forward, apologizing again, as she recalled the moment everything went wrong. The mistake weighed heavily on her, and even as she tried to explain herself, her voice faltered. Nearby, Katu reflected on the situation, recognizing that those who take initiative often end up making more mistakes. A faint, trembling smile appeared on Iris's face, though tears still filled her eyes. From Katu's perspective, her reaction felt deeply unfair, as she blamed herself for something beyond her control. Reaching out, Katu gently held her hands and asked her to listen. Sitting together in the quiet forest, he carefully expressed his thoughts, acknowledging her feelings while trying to reassure her. Iris, still uncertain, wondered if her actions had caused him pain. Katu continued, explaining that kindness often means feeling hurt more deeply. He admitted that even small pains can feel overwhelming, yet that does not make someone weak. Hearing this, Iris remained silent, unsure how to respond, but she stayed close, listening. With steady determination, Katu shared his true feelings, expressing how much he valued Iris and how she inspired him to become better. In that moment, her expression changed, surprise and emotion mixing as she finally began to understand that she was not alone. Standing beside him, she reacted with surprise, still unsure of herself. Despite her hesitation, his confidence in her remained firm, and his words pushed her to consider moving forward. Without hesitation, Katu showed resolve, stating that he would keep going until it worked. His actions reflected a willingness to endure pain if necessary. Watching him, Iris became flustered. Yet his persistence began to influence her thoughts. Looking at Iris, Katu recognized her habit of handling everything alone. He admired her strength, but also understood the burden it placed on her. At the same time, he wished for her to be kinder to herself, just as she was to others. As he continued, Katu pointed out the effort required to use magic, listing the strain it placed on her. His tone remained steady, showing concern rather than criticism. Iris listened quietly, beginning to realize how much he noticed about her struggles. In a gentle moment, Katu reached out his hand and affirmed their bond as husband and wife. He expressed his intention to face challenges together. Hearing this, Iris looked at him with growing warmth, her hesitation slowly replaced by trust. Power gathered in his hand as energy surged forward in a violent burst. A focused expression showed his determination to control it. Behind him, Iris watched closely, her attention fixed on his actions as she remained still, waiting for the outcome. Strain quickly followed as control became difficult. Muscles tensed, and effort showed clearly as he tried to keep the energy stable. Each movement carried pressure, forcing him to concentrate harder while pushing through the instability. Sudden shift occurred as the flow of magic stabilized more than before. Surprise spread across Iris's face while she observed the change. Improvement appeared faster than expected, and confidence began to grow alongside the result. Excitement replaced uncertainty as Iris reacted with wide eyes and flushed cheeks. Her thoughts turned toward what she had just witnessed, trying to understand the reason behind such rapid progress. Emotions mixed together as realization slowly formed. Determination rose again, as energy gathered for another release. Pride showed in his expression while he prepared to demonstrate further strength. Nearby, Iris smiled brightly, her earlier worries gone, as the moment shifted into something lighter and full of hope. A massive burst of energy erupted forward, shaking the ground as the impact spread outward. Dust and debris filled the air, making it hard to see what remained. From a distance, Iris reacted in shock, unsure whether what she witnessed was real or just her imagination. After the explosion settled, a worn figure stood in the clearing, breathing heavily. Torn clothes and strained posture showed the toll of repeated attempts. Even so, balance was maintained, proving that endurance had not yet reached its limit. Concern rose again as Iris realized how many times failure had already occurred. The number kept increasing, yet the effort did not stop. Each attempt seemed to push further beyond normal limits, turning exhaustion into determination. Frustration surfaced, but it quickly shifted into firm resolve. Rather than giving in, belief in eventual success became stronger. Continuous effort turned repeated failure into something meaningful, shaping progress, step by step. Relief and warmth followed as Iris expressed her support with renewed energy. Determination was no longer carried alone, as she chose to stay by his side until the end. In that moment, persistence and trust came together, creating a shared path forward. Dark energy gathered along his arm as he forced himself to stay focused. Despite exhaustion and dirt covering his body, control did not waver. A steady breath followed, signaling preparation for another attempt. Swirling mass of magic formed and surged outward with force. Power finally took shape as a fireball shot forward, leaving a trail of unstable energy. Surprise mixed with relief as the technique activated successfully. The result hovered briefly before moving unpredictably. Uncertainty returned, as its strength seemed inconsistent compared to earlier explosions. A quick reaction followed, pushing Iris aside to keep her safe from the unstable magic. Moments later, the attack crashed into the ground, releasing a loud impact that shook the area. Fragments scattered while energy burst outward in chaotic lines. From a distance, both observed the destruction, realizing how difficult such power was to control. A faint smile appeared, despite fatigue, showing satisfaction with the progress made. Strength in his voice reflected growing confidence in using magic. Even if only slightly, watching quietly, Iris softened. Her expression filled with quiet admiration. Report revealed details of Katu's past, describing a life filled with pressure and sacrifice. Long years were spent focused only on study, leaving little room for anything else. Even after gaining a job, that routine continued, shaping a life with little freedom or rest. On a screen, his current state appeared unchanged, still pushing forward despite exhaustion. Rather than complaining, effort continued steadily, showing a mindset that refused to give up. Persistence remained the only path he followed. Watching this, Iris felt a mix of admiration and surprise. Strength like that seemed difficult to maintain, yet he carried it naturally, compared to herself. Such resilience felt almost unbelievable. Thoughts lingered as she observed his actions more closely. Determination showed clearly in the way he continued moving forward, even while tired. That steady attitude left a strong impression on her. Concern soon replaced those thoughts when she noticed his condition up close. Signs of strain became more visible, drawing attention to the effort he had been hiding. Quiet worry formed as she realized how much he had been enduring. Iris lay close with a gentle expression, her feelings finally clear and no longer held back. Warmth filled the moment as she expressed her affection openly. Admiration and relief mixed within her, showing how deeply she valued what they had built together. Caught off guard, Katu froze as her words reached him. A sudden surge of energy followed, bursting out around him as emotions overwhelmed his control. Even so, he remained standing, trying to steady himself. Hidden among the trees, Katu observes several creatures moving below. A steady breath helps him focus as magic gathers in his hand. Careful control becomes his priority while he studies the distance and positioning of his targets. Energy slowly builds, held back to avoid unnecessary waste. With the preparation complete, a fireball forms and launches forward. The compressed magic travels quickly, striking one creature and spreading impact to those nearby. Sudden movement breaks the calm as the attack connects. Instead of a small burst, a massive explosion erupts across the area. The force expands violently, tearing through the surroundings. What was meant to be controlled magic turns into overwhelming destruction, far beyond Katu's expectation. Silence follows the blast as the forest settles. Fallen creatures and damaged ground remain as proof of the impact. Realization sets in that his power is unstable. Later, a book rests in his hands as he studies carefully, trying to understand the limits he has reached. Inside the house, the goddess prepares food while observing him. Concern appears as she notices his condition. Meanwhile, Katu continues focusing on improvement, aware that his growing strength is becoming difficult to manage. Under a simple roof, Katu reflects on his life in this new world. Protection from danger has been secured thanks to the goddess's magic, allowing him to live without constant fear. Time has passed steadily, and his situation has improved more than expected since arriving. Daily life becomes stable as Katu balances food from hunting with gathered plants. While sitting and reading, he evaluates his condition and recognizes his limits. Nearby, the goddess moves naturally around the house, maintaining a peaceful routine that contrasts with his growing concerns. A sudden distraction breaks his focus as his attention shifts toward the goddess. His composure weakens, and his thoughts become unsettled. The calm environment begins to feel overwhelming as he struggles to maintain control over his reactions. Desire builds rapidly, pushing his patience close to its limit. His awareness of the goddess's presence intensifies, making it harder to stay composed. The situation becomes less about daily life and more about managing his own impulses. Night brings no relief as Katu lies awake with restless thoughts. Sharing the same space with the goddess increases the pressure he feels. His condition remains unstable, caught between restraint and the growing intensity of his emotions. Katu sits quietly with a book, forcing himself to stay calm. His thoughts begin to spiral, but he tries to suppress them. Determination shows as he reminds himself to stay patient and avoid acting on impulse. While reading, he searches for distractions and focuses on information from the book. The goddess continues her routine nearby, unaware of his inner struggle. Attention shifts between the text and her presence, making it difficult for him to concentrate. At the same time, the goddess experiences a similar tension. Her composure weakens as emotions begin to surface. What was once a calm atmosphere turns into a shared struggle, both reaching the edge of their patience. Over time, Katu's body becomes stronger from his daily activities. The goddess notices these changes and her awareness of him grows. Each small detail increases the tension between them, making the situation harder to ignore. Eventually, the pressure becomes too much to handle. Both are overwhelmed by their own reactions, unable to fully hide their feelings. The peaceful routine inside the house shifts into an unstable moment, where restraint is no longer easy to maintain. Iris sits alone, reflecting on her thoughts with visible frustration. Embarrassment lingers as she recalls her recent behavior, trying to maintain composure despite her emotions. She struggles to act properly, even while blaming Katu for disrupting her calm state. Doubt begins to surface as Iris looks at herself more critically. Concerns about her appearance grow, and she questions whether she is lacking in some way. Nearby, Katu secretly watches, unsure how to respond to her behavior. At the same time, Katu tries to stay focused, but his attention drifts. His thoughts become conflicted as he observes Iris while she shifts her mindset and prepares to act more decisively. The distance between them feels smaller than before. A quiet determination forms as Katu considers taking the next step in their relationship. Time spent together has changed his perspective, and hesitation begins to fade. He prepares himself mentally, waiting for the right moment. Later, the atmosphere softens as Iris happily presents a meal. The tension eases slightly, replaced by a simple moment of shared routine. Despite earlier struggles, both remain aware that their relationship is slowly moving forward. Katu examines the meal in front of him, noticing the unusual ingredients. The food appears rich and heavy, making him question its purpose. A quiet suspicion forms as he considers the effects it might have on his body. Iris presents the dishes with a bright expression, maintaining a calm and natural attitude. Katu studies her reaction, trying to determine whether his assumptions are correct. Uncertainty lingers as he continues observing her behavior. A sudden realization strikes Katu as he connects the ingredients with their possible effects. His composure breaks, and his reaction becomes more intense. The situation quickly shifts from simple curiosity to growing concern. She encourages him with a confident and expectant attitude. Her expression shows determination as she watches him closely. The pressure on Katu increases, making it harder for him to remain calm and composed. Meanwhile, Iris continues preparing more ingredients with energy and focus. Her actions suggest careful planning behind the meal. As the situation unfolds, Katu realizes that everything has been leading toward this moment, leaving him with little room to avoid what comes next. Inside the house, Iris suddenly shows signs of pain after returning from gathering plants. Her movements become unsteady, and she lowers herself while trembling. Katu quickly notices and approaches her, trying to understand what happened. Despite her condition, she downplays the injury, insisting it is not serious. Sitting close, Iris holds her hand and leans forward, emphasizing the pain she feels. Her expression shows discomfort, but her actions suggest she is also seeking attention. The situation creates a moment of closeness between them, As Katu focuses on her injury, the physical contact increases. Iris allows the distance between them to shrink, making the moment more intimate. The tension from earlier returns, now mixed with concern. He reacts with urgency, prioritizing her well-being over everything else. He supports her carefully, trying to assess the situation. Despite lacking proper healing abilities, his attention remains fixed on helping her recover. Later, the mood shifts into quiet reflection. Iris watches Katu as he continues working despite his own difficulties. She recognizes his kindness and dedication, realizing that his actions come from genuine care rather than hesitation. Iris suddenly loses control of her emotions and collapses forward, overwhelmed by everything she has been holding back. Her restraint breaks completely, and her reaction becomes direct and intense. He struggles to understand the situation as he faces her. Meanwhile, Iris steadies herself slightly, but the tension between them remains strong and unavoidable. Standing close, Iris looks at Katu with a flushed expression, unable to hide her feelings any longer. The atmosphere shifts into a decisive moment, where both are forced to confront the situation directly, with no room left for hesitation.